Hey, and welcome back to another video. This video is a follow-up from our previous video where I made the promise to you that with simply using 6 two-note shapes, you'll be able to, number one, find every note, any note, anywhere on a guitar, and number two, you can then use 3 simple shapes to play any major or minor chord. If you've not yet seen that, go ahead and check out that video. We'll link to it in the description. But that basically lays the foundation of how you can find any note in the guitar and then play any major or minor chord using simply 3 two-note chord voicings. Now, we had a lot to cover, so I went a little bit at a brisk pace. What I want to do in this video is just take a little bit of time and just go ahead and show you my thinking behind these chord shapes and how I can go ahead and, number one, first of all, just play the shapes, and then number two, showing you some ways in which you can embellish them. So let's go ahead and dive right in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just fire up the track real quick and just play an example for you so you can see these shapes in action. And then afterwards we're going to be taking a little bit of time and kind of deconstruct the thinking behind it and how to go ahead and use these tools in your playing. Let's check it out. 4, 5, 6. Alright, so what I've used there, everything that you've heard was simply 3 different shapes. Again, we've covered all of that in the previous video, so if you need a refresh on that, you can go ahead and check it out. But in short, I can use this shape 1, shape 2, and shape 3 to play G major chords. I can also swap them around a little bit. I can play shape 1, shape 3, and shape 2. Me G minor chords. Now once you know how to play those major and minor chords, it's simply a matter of moving them up and down the guitar neck at the right place so that they go ahead and give you the chord you're looking for. In the same way that if you know that this is a G bar chord, you play it over there, it's a C, and over there it's a D bar chord. These shapes don't have any open strings, so you can go ahead and move them around. Cool. So the first thing that you want to do is just, obviously, when we look at these shapes and becoming a little bit more comfortable at playing them and developing the muscle memory, as well as the musical intuition as to play them freely on the guitar, then obviously that's going to take just a little bit of time, focus, and attention as you get familiar with these shapes. Now, if you are on your virtual guitar journey and sometimes you are feeling a little bit stuck in your playing and you want to find a way to kind of just break out of the kind of confines of the various chord shapes and boxes and whatever the case is that you use a lot, then I would highly recommend to start with this concept that I'm teaching over here because it forms a solid foundation upon which you can go ahead and build. So the first thing is I want to go ahead and just identify where are my notes on the guitar simply on the D, G, and B strings. And now I have to do that for all 4 chords I'm going to play over right now, which is G, C, E minor, D. So now I need to find G on the D string, on the G string, and on the B string. So let's actually do it like this. We're going to find our lowest G that we can fret on the D string, which is there. Then we're going to find our next closest G, which is there as we go up. And then our next closest G, which is there. So now I've got on my D string, my B string, and my G string. And then I can play these shapes. Shape 1, shape 2, shape 3. And as I mentioned in the previous video, when I play shape 1, my root note is on the D string. When I play shape 2, my root note is on the B string. And when I play shape 3, I don't play my root note at all, but I just know it's right there on a 12th fret. Okay, so that was G. So now I can play G in 3 different places. Now our next chord is C. So now we need to find the lowest C that we can play over here, which is going to be that C. On the G string, 5th fret. Then I can find my next C is going to be here on the 10th fret of the D string. And then I'm going to find my next C, which is on the 13th fret of the B string. So I've got C, C, and C. Remember, only on the D, G, and B string. So now that we know where the 3 C's are, I can start here with shape 3, shape 1, and shape 2. Same shapes that I can now play C in 3 different places. Now for our example, I can play G to C. I'm going to do all 3 G's followed by all 3 C's. Check it out. G. Now the C's. Pretty handy, right? I can play G in 3 different places and C in 3 different places. Most guitarists will go G and then I'll go C. And there's nothing wrong with those voicings. They sound cool. But like I said, sometimes you want to break out the confines of some of the boxes that you find yourself stuck in, because that's what you know and that's what your muscle memory gravitates towards. So this helps you to get out the box. G, C. Now let's find our next chord is E. So where's our lowest E on the mix over here? Well, let's just see where we're going to play that. We're going to do it over there. That's E, E, and E. So now I can use shape 3 over here, shape 2, and shape 1 to give me 3 versions of E minor. So let's build upon what we're working on here. G, 3 positions. C, 3 positions. E minor, 3 positions. Check it out. Only using these same 3 shapes. C. E minor. And let's go ahead and do our final chord, which is going to be D. So where's our lowest D? Well, we'll go there, D, then D, and then D. So we're going to have shape, this will be shape 2, shape 3, and shape 1. So now, let's go ahead and do all 4 chords. G, C, E minor, and D. Back to G. So that's how you can use those 3 shapes to go in and identify the chords. So let's take a quick time out. What we've done is I've given you 3 shapes to play any major or any minor chord in the 3 different positions on the neck. And you saw how these shapes follow on each other in a chronological way when we do them in the major shapes. It's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. When it's minors, 1 is where it is, but we swap shape 2 and shape 3. So that means I can play shape 1, 2, 3, and then it's going to end on shape 1, which is an octave higher than where we started over there. So now you have these tools. Imagine you're a kid again and you're sitting down to play with Lego. There's all the blocks in front of you. What are you going to build and how are you going to arrange them, and in what order will you go ahead and construct the blocks when you're building a rocket ship, a plane, a dinosaur, whatever the case may be. Now, obviously, we want to go ahead and use these shapes as our building blocks, but instead of playing with Lego, we are going to be building guitar parts. So that means I can play G, C, E minor, D in 3 places like this. G, C, E minor, D, G, C, E minor, D, G, C, E minor, D. And that is if I go ahead and stay within each shape. But I don't have to stay within each shape. I can mix and match these as my musical intuition leads, and we'll talk about that in a second. So I can go G, C, E minor, D, G, C, E minor, D, G, C, E minor, D. So you can go ahead and do whatever you want. I can go G, C, E minor, D, G, C, E minor, D, I can combine different G's together. G, C, E minor, D, G, C, E minor, D. So you have to learn to be like a kid again, in a sense that you have to think outside the box. Yes, you have 2 choices. You can open up the Lego, you can follow the instructions once and build what it shows you there, or you can just let your creativity take control and build whatever you want. The fact of the matter is you just need to know how to use the shapes, which is what we are working with over here, and then put them together in a way that's going to be musical. So let's talk about the application for a second there. Music is a language. In our previous video, we discussed the whole idea and process of no longer being an illiterate worship guitarist. At least know where to find all of the notes on the guitar. I've given you those 3 shapes, and then know how to put those together with the simple shapes. Yes, there's more to that you can learn, but at least for that, you want to know, don't be illiterate when it comes to the fretboard. Know where to find the notes, and then know what shapes you can go ahead to construct these chords. Then when it comes to application, it's really your musical intuition that's going to take over, and that's going to be driven by a couple of factors. Number one, our role first and foremost as worship guitar players. If you serve in a worship team, you're kind of a modern day Levite. You are there to lead the congregation into worship, and then even before that, you are there to minister to the Lord by playing skillfully on the strings, as it encourages us to do in Psalm 33 verse 3. So that's why we develop these skills. That's why worshipguitarskills.com as a brand exists, in order to equip and empower the saints for the work of ministry. And in our case, it's worship guitar players. So we know that that's the ultimate goal. That's where we are driving to. That's what the goal that we are serving with our skills, our abilities, our time, our resources, our effort and energy and focus and attention. Basically everything. Love the Lord with all your mind, heart and soul. That's what we want to do, and we are using this particularly in guitar playing. So that's the goal. Now, how do you achieve that? Well, you've got a specific role and function to perform as a guitar player. So if you're playing Lion and the Lamb on a Sunday, you need to know how to play the intro line and the specific guitar lines that make an integral part of the song. But for the rest of the time, if there's not a specific part that's been written for a guitar, then you have to be able to go ahead and let your musical intuition take over to serve the moment, to serve the greater purpose, and then how are you going to communicate the message on stage? Yes, there's your notes that you use. Yes, there's the heart posture with which you serve. There's the body language that you use as you are there and taking care of business. But that, in essence, is the bigger picture. And for us, drilling it down, it's the physical, skills of learning the shapes, and then it's about your musical intuition. So what does that mean? Well, if you now know what your goal is and why we are doing that, and you've got a set of skills in your hand, what are you going to do? Again, let's go back to the kids example. My kids are 5, 8, and 10, so they love drawing all the time. So it's blank pieces of paper, and it's different colored pens, and it's dinosaurs, and it's this and that, and the next thing, they are just expressing their identity and their creativity through the act of just drawing pictures and having fun. Well, we as musicians, we have a musical canvas that we can go ahead and communicate and compose parts and ideas. So if you're playing a song that has got a certain feel to it from a musical point of view, there's a certain message that's being communicated within the lyrics, what are you going to do as a guitar player using these skills to do something that's going to fit that ultimate goal that we've spoken about, and it's going to fit and serve the moment. So that's where don't get stuck inside of boxes. There's just a period in the process that you have to go through to learn these shapes, get them into your muscle memory. But from there, you can start and experiment with what you want to do and how you want to go ahead and put these different shapes together to create some guitar parts that will fit the moment, that will serve the song, and ultimately help you to step into that role and function as a modern day Levite. So that's quite a lot to say about the subject, but I wanted to keep it simple by just saying to you, here are a couple of blocks. Go ahead and learn a couple of basic things. Like I said, G, C, E minor, D, but eventually you might go G, C, E minor, D, and you're going to start to play around with the different combinations. And then one thing you'll hear me do often, and we'll end the video with this, is using embellishments. And as our identity and as the way that we've been created, expression is a big part of our human existence, right? So we all have different ways that we would tell a story, that we would express ourselves. People dress differently, people have different, we are all just unique, right? And we have ways, the way that you dress, the way that you talk, the car you drive, the things you do, the things you buy, the gear you use as a guitarist, that's all an expression of your identity. So as you are composing guitar parts, you need to learn how to let your identity shine through without having to step into the Guitar Hero zone where it's all about look at me, look at my skills, and all of that. Because we know that that's not the focus of us. We want to use these skills to say, look at God, look at how awesome He is, look at what He's done and accomplished. Let's all gather around and make Him the focus and worship Him. But we don't have to do that by being cookie cutter guitar players and by being kind of having this parrot learning approach where we just learn things note for note. No, go ahead and find how can your identity and creativity shine through. And I do that a lot by using these simple shapes, but then using embellishments. So instead of just playing both notes together, I'll split them. So now there's a bit of a rhythmic energy there. I'll also do embellishments. So I might go. So an embellishment is when you just add and take away. So instead of just playing both notes like this, I've got an embellishment here. A little slide in there. A little hammer on there. Etc. You have to just find ways to, instead of just playing the actual notes, just go ahead and do some things that's going to work for you as it relates to how you're going to express yourself when it comes to simple shapes like this that you can use on a Sunday. So I hope this has been useful. The previous video went into details around how to play the shapes, where to find all those things. There's also a way for you to download the accompanying PDF and the backing track that I jammed over. And I want to encourage you to maybe even watch this video a couple of times and pull out some gems that's going to be useful to you as it relates to where you are on your current journey and growth as a worship guitarist and ultimately a worshiper. Because we don't want to just be guitarists. We want to graduate from the mere act of playing guitar and becoming musicians, and then instead of just being musicians, we want to also graduate another level and become worshipers using music as a tool to glorify the name of Jesus and to draw others into that experience of worship. And when you think of it like that, it's really an honor and a privilege for us to have this role and function, and for us to go ahead and wanting to develop our skills so that we can, as it says in Psalm 33 verse 3, play skillfully on the strings, but not just for the sake of playing skillfully, but for the sake of serving the kingdom, of serving the congregation, and stepping into our role and function as worshippers. So hope that was useful. Comments are always appreciated. We love hearing what you guys get out of the videos. If you have any questions, that's also the place to put them in the comments. Then we'll go ahead and review those and address that in future videos. So thanks a lot for watching. And by the way, here's the link to the previous video in case you've not yet seen that. We'll see you in the next one.